Hi guys, welcome back to Deadfire. I'm running a few mods with this game too. If you want to know which ones, go back to part 1. In the beginning, I go through all of them. If you want any more information, get a hold of me. Or just put a comment up or something, and that way I can see it. Oh, she got a lot of cuts on her face. I don't think I'd fuck with her. Wow, look at that face. Glowing eyes, too. Hey, Mr. Gizmo, how are you? And I leveled up. Let's start with you, Reader. Give you mechanics.
Like it just seems like each card hits another card like a domino is falling. You know, first you have Biden's hilariously awful debates. Then you have Trump's near assassination. You have this happening. It kind of seems like the world
Wow.
something. I don't know what it is.
Only get to pick one, eh?
I don't know. I have to put my tinfoil hat on to receive that message, I think. But but you're right. There's so much shit going on right now in the past couple of weeks in terms of this. And you have the immunity. Yes. The Supreme Court. But with this case down in Florida, I don't understand it necessarily. Honestly, God, I did not read the 93-page statement that the judge put out. I'm just glad because I got a basement full of classified documents. So I guess I'm also off the hook. I'm going to go with that, though. Yeah. I just think that, like, it's important, Michael Loftus, because it feels like there's some kind of weird reordering of things going on. It's like this weird event, even... Okay, so if you look at these examples of lawfare, figuratively firing bullets at Trump, can't do it. Literally firing bullets at Trump, can't do it. It feels like there's like this cosmic reordering of things. Yeah, can't explain it.
Trump is Neo from the Matrix.
Yes.
Slowly. This one being dropped is crazy because I guess it was the way Jack Smith was being paid. It was unconstitutional, which goes to my theory that like bookkeepers are trying to take over the earth. Right? That's. They keep doing all these little Trump the bookkeeping thing. The other crime. Oh, you forgot to carry the two and it's just insane. Like, how about we just stick to fighting crime?
Yeah.
Real crime that we can all understand instead of unconstitutional bookkeeping.
It's boring too. Pat, last word to you.
I think what's insane is that we are doing this as a quick little segment at the end of the show. But remember when this all happened?
Yeah.
And then that was the week that we had. Let's throw this in real quick.
No, it's true. This is like a deal. Deal, and now we're giving it 3 minutes because that's all it really was worth. In general, it was a waste of our time, and it went away. And we're going away, but we'll be right back.
Only from SimpliSafe, 24/7 lifeguard protection. This exclusive technology allows SimpliSafe agents to help stop crime in real time. Stop. Police are on their way. For instant intruder deterrence and faster police response, there's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Huh.
I don't like Frankie Prince.
Having to send them custom wheels gives kids like me.
And me. You don't even do things I only dream of before. To draw support of useful love, trying children is to find confidence, adaptive life, and future to kids who dream of their first time hero.
It was one of the most incredible experiences. From the very first moment she had success.
You did a great job. She didn't receive his right from trainers. I almost started crying because I never thought that someone would be able to write about it at home.
When you go online to lovetrainers.org or call this special number with your monthly gift, you'll make a difference too. And help kids like us do things we never thought we could do.
When you say yes to giving just 19 hours a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Lunch to Rescue blanket as a reminder of all the kids you're helping every day. Call or ring right now to give. You'll be making sure our amazing doctors and nurses and keep helping kids now. And you, I get the most amazing chair anywhere. I can play basketball.
I can play soccer because of your support.
Thank you.
You have. Remember that smell?
Right now at lovetrainers.org. Thanks to all of
Because they told me all about it.
for kids like me.
Who do you think sent them there, Junior? You could thank your big brother. Actually, we have to thank Mom and Dad.
That's cool.
That's crazy stuff, man. That's leads for a celebration.
Or go to lovetrainers.org to give right away. Thank you.
We just miss
Tony Hawk, and like many of you, I take a statin to reduce cholesterol. But statins can also deplete CoQ10 levels. That's why my doctor recommended Qunol CoQ10. Qunol has the #1 cardiologist recommended form of CoQ10. Qunol, the brand I trust. We now return to our interview with the insurance whistleblower.
I just think everyone should know there's an insurance company out there exposing other companies' rates, seeking for the higher benefit savings.
Sounds like trouble.
It's great, actually. It's called Auto Quote Explorer from Progressive. Here, look. Show you our direct rates and their rates, even if we're not close.
So, whistleblower usually means you're exposing something bad.
I thought it meant calling attention to something helpful. Like, check it out. This one's the best. No.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022, and what's worse, more than you realize. If you're a victim of identity theft, LifeLock works to fix it on your behalf, backed by the $1 million protection package. Enroll now.
Those souls ain't gonna reap themselves. I'm guessing you're not here for the baptism.
Yeah! We are basically self-dead. Like make our check out presidentdailybrief.com. I'm the one that you were
God's been following me here. Left the breadcrumbs in my dreams.
Good evening, I'm Trace Gallagher. It's midnight on the East Coast, 9 o'clock here in Los Angeles, and this is America's Late News, Fox News at night.
I need to get in there. If you're going, I can help you. Swear on my soul.
And breaking tonight, I am not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead. That's what Donald Trump told the New York Post just hours before walking in to the Republican National Convention with a bandage on his right ear and an electric crowd.
God the dead.
He's here tonight to show his courage. He's defiant to somebody who tried to kill him.
What's yours?
You will not take this
So
man
you can
down.
see things? That's a handy talent to have. I know my harvesting would
The
be.
former president also says that he is rewriting his convention speech to focus on unity to, quote, bring the country together. Meantime, President Joe Biden, in a rare interview tonight, denying he played any role in the heated political climate. From just one day before a bullet grazed the former president's ear, we heard something quite different.
He's taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite people who are not balanced.
I'm not engaged in that rhetoric. Most important thing, I answer why Trump is a threat to this nation. Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro joins us live with his thoughts in moments. But first, Team Fox coverage. Aisha Hosky and Mark Meredith live at the RNC. We begin with Mark Meredith on the convention floor. Mark, good evening. Trace, good evening to you. What a first night of the Republican convention we have. Well, there were no shortage of headlines. The biggest moment, as you can imagine, was what you were just playing, the place erupting as former President Trump walked into the arena. An indication here that he was going to get a hero's welcome even before the events this Saturday. But after the assassination attempt, the former president certainly feeling the love and support from those Republican delegates. And of course, you imagine this is a huge change from what we even saw 4 years ago, as there was no convention due to COVID. For the former president, this was a chance to show the American people in prime time what he's able to offer them. And while, yes, the cameras were on him during the 10 o'clock hour, the biggest headline of the day by far was Trump's decision to tap the junior senator of Ohio, J.D. Vance, as his running mate. Vance had been on the short list for this job once, but it came down to the wire with Vance himself only finding out that he got the job just 20 minutes before it was announced. He had been vetted. There was a lot of consideration. The tea leaves showing he was going to get the job. But now, of course, it is official. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny on Vance going forward, but he talked to Sean Hannity tonight. He made it clear he believes there is a great responsibility about his new role.
So you've got to be a person he can trust, he can rely on to actually advance the agenda. That's the most important job. Of course, if something, God forbid, happens, you got to be ready to step into that office. That's one of the most important roles of the vice president. But I think Donald Trump, very healthy, going to serve for 4 very good years.
Now, Vance may be getting a warm welcome here in Milwaukee, but the Democrats are already stepping up new attacks on him. And we've also learned that his potential counterpart in the other side of the aisle, Vice President Kamala Harris, she's going to be heading to 2 battleground states just this week, an indication that the campaign continues in Trace. A big focus tonight was on workers and the economy. We'll see if that resonates in the polls going forward, but polls have showed Trump getting an advantage there already. Trace?
Mark Meredith live for us in Milwaukee. Mark, thank you. Let's bring in the Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro. Ben, great to have you on the show. Welcome. What do you think about former President Trump picking J.D. Vance as his VP?
It's certainly an audacious pick by President Trump. It's a move to double down on Trumpism as a philosophy. J.D. Vance is extraordinarily high IQ, really, really articulate, a real bulldog on behalf of the President of the United States. And that is something different than many people were looking for. He's not as much a unity thing as he is a militant move by President Trump to say that he is actually going to oppose an agenda that he likes once he gets back into office.
Yeah, we're going to get back to the RNC in a moment, Ben, but I want to get your take on the interview that President Biden did tonight on NBC. Here's your headline in the Daily Wire. It reads the following quoting here: Biden says to lower the political temperature. It rings hollow. And sure enough, Biden was asked about exactly that by Lester Holt. Watch and I'll get your thoughts.
But have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching? Things that you may have said that could incite people who were not balanced.
I don't think. How do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real, when the president says things like he says? Do you just not say anything? You can incite somebody?
He's talked a lot about it, Ben, but it doesn't appear as if he plans to drop the temperature 1 degree.
That's exactly right. He said on Sunday night that it's fine for everyone to cool it down, but he apparently means everybody except for him. And that's the part that Ryan Hall was Sunday night. He could have said, I'm a part of this, my rhetoric. Basically, my point is it would be dictators. They don't even figure it was an end democracy. And that was over the top. It's not true. With many of his policies, I think that was wrong for the country. But by the same token, we do live in a democracy that is quite durable and is going to outlast both of us. He hasn't said any of that. Instead, he just keeps doubling down on his message. And the reason he keeps doubling down is because, effectively speaking, it is all he has. He does not have a winning message on his own agenda. His own administration has been absolutely disgraceful on a variety of issues, which is why he's very approval rating right now. All he has is this outsized, outlandish accusation that Donald Trump is Orange Hitler. And so if he walks away from that, what else does he have left in the cupboard to throw at President Trump?
Yeah, and to your exact point, here's the Biden campaign, their statement on J.D. Vance. It reads as follows here: Donald Trump picked J.D. Vance as his running mate because Vance will do what Mike Pence wouldn't. On January 6th, bend over backwards to enable Trump and his extreme MAGA agenda, even if it means breaking the law and no matter the harm to the American people. The threats just keep on coming.
That's also an astonishing accusation, given the fact that it makes literally no sense. If President Trump were to get to the end of his term, presumably after being elected, then there wouldn't be the same issue because he will then have served 2 terms. So none of that makes any sense. But again, they have to just keep ramping up the threat of Trump, the pseudo threat of Trump, the ghostly threat of Trump. Because the minute the American people see Donald Trump for what he is, which was a very effective president and a man who will be an effective president this time around, rather than the sort of existential threat to the Republic, Donald Trump wins and he wins big.
You mean Donald Trump, by the way, is saying that he will use his speech on Thursday night to unite America. Good strategy, Ben?
I think it's an amazing strategy. And in fact, I think that President Trump should do the thing that Joe Biden refused to do. I think that everybody is waiting. There have been so many times. But is this the moment that Donald Trump became president? Obviously, it was sort of a joke because obviously he was the president. But if Donald Trump comes out on Thursday night and says, listen, when you nearly get shot in the head by a bullet, it changes your point of view just a little bit. And it's time to unite America around principles that we all hold dear. You know, our families, our ability to thrive in a society, and we're all supposed to love each other. And so when I call for taking down the temperature a little bit, I've been responsible. I'd like to take that temperature. I'm calling on my opponents to do the same. Can we take the ground right out from under Joe Biden and effectively the end of Biden's campaign?
And when you're saying, Ben, that it changes your point of view, I'm wondering, do you mean
That's
politically
cool.
specifically, or are you talking about life point of view? It changes the former president altogether.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking politically. I think that President Trump is where he always was politically. I'm talking about just your view on life in general and the value of life and the value of actually holding close people you treasure, including your fellow Americans. And I think that's likely to be President Trump's message going forward.
Ben Shapiro, great to have you on the show. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much.
Well, the anticipation now building toward the big moment, the speech Thursday night by former President Trump. The now official GOP nominee says he is changing up his acceptance speech to focus on unity, and he is urging his surrogates to stick to the issues. Aisha Husky is live in Milwaukee with the latest on that. Aisha, video.
Good evening to you. Well, let me start with this. The former president, his appearance tonight was a surprise. J.D. Vance, the VP pick, a surprise. And the former president told Brett Baer earlier today that he had 4 surprises up his sleeve. So buckle up. It's only Monday. Here on the floor, let me tell you what I saw when the president walked in. I saw somebody crying. I saw a lot of people who were emotional. I saw one man who was holding up his phone, FaceTiming a loved one so that they could watch in real time the president walking in. And I talked to another man who told me, look, this is a miracle. The president is here right now, and it was so important for him to see the president here on Monday, Thursday, because people wanted to know if he was okay. They wanted to see it for themselves. And he told me if anything was different, if the president had been hit on Saturday, then the country would have been lost. Also have some news for you on J.D. Vance that you're hearing first tonight. Trace, Vance hitting the campaign trail immediately. I am told that he will be in Oklahoma on July 26th for a big fundraiser. It's going to be hosted by Senator Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma. Plans are underway right now, but I can guarantee you that he'll hit the campaign trail even sooner before that as well. A lot of busy events for him coming up. Trace?
Yeah, go time like the president. Aisha Husky live for us in Milwaukee. Aisha, thank you. Let's bring in Sentinel Action Fund President Jessica Anderson and Trump 2024 surrogate Harrison Fields. Thank you both. I think you're both in Milwaukee. Thank you both and welcome on the show. New York Times columnist David French, Aisha was just talking about J.D. Vance, who's going to be out campaigning, said this about the Vance nominee or the Vance pick. He's the vice president pick for the base, for the people who want to see revolutionary disruption in the American government. This is the pick of a very confident presidential nominee. So you can see here, I mean, you look at this, Harrison, and you can see that they changed it from assaulting democracy to a revolutionary disruption in American government.
Right. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. And J.D. Vance is a threat to the left because he stands for MAGA policies. And just his story itself, his story is a story of from rags to riches. The story of American exceptionalism, that your zip code and the story of your upbringing does not define how you're going to turn out in this country. Through God and through faith, you can overcome the greatest of struggles to become a United States Senator and now the nominee for Vice President of the United States. He is the definition of the American dream, emblematic of my family, one generation away from growing up in the projects. I think he is a uniting pick. He is one that is strong on the issues. He is beloved in his home state of Ohio, and he is an American hero who served in the United States Marines. And the people in Milwaukee are extremely happy to have him as Trump's choice.
Yeah, but he's not going to be here long. He's on the campaign trail. That's in the morning time. Meantime, Glenn Youngkin said this about Trump, and I kind of gleaned something out of this I want to talk to you about. Just watch it.
Wait, who are you?
Great. Could this election be more simple?
One thing I like about this game is that it's all voice acted, which is really good.
Versus weakness. Friends, it's not just Republicans who see this. I mean, you can see a theme here, Jessica, right? The whole thing is after the assassination attempt, we have now strength versus weakness, and I think we're going to hear this throughout this convention.
Very much so, Trace. And I thought the governor's words were actually spot on tonight. And something that it reminded me of, the day and the 2 days now after the assassination of President Trump, you have not seen anyone on the right burn down buildings, disrupt, have protests, destroy businesses. You actually see a call for unity, peace, strength, coming together to protect America, not to destroy it. And that's the real difference, I think, that we see here from Milwaukee. The energy in the room is vibrant, people are enthusiastic and happy, and the calls are real. They're to make America better, to return it to a state of greatness. And I think President Trump was right to come out tonight. He settled any of the nerves that we may have had front and center, it sets the tone for the week,
Look what
coming
she
off
did
very
to
devastating,
my ear.
impacts of this past weekend's
When the
events.
fight
And I
was
wonder,
over,
Harrison,
she
what you
takes
think.
that
I mean,
coin
she says,
purse
look,
and
it sets the
strides
tone.
away.
How
Bold as
important
anything.
was it for the former president to come out in that arena tonight?
I was deep into my cups.
It meant everything to everyone in that arena. I too saw people crying. I saw grown men that were just in awe. I will never forget that moment. President Trump continues to show resilience, the strength that America needs in a time where we're just desperate for a leader that shows strength, that we can trust to lead us into a new American age. President Trump is that candidate. You remember what life was like under him. Low inflation, a secure border, peace deals around the world, and a better America for all of us. Minority communities were prospering under President Trump, and now their communities are flooding with illegal immigrants because of the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So seeing President Trump meant everything to us. We're so honored and blessed that God saved his life. And they're going to make a bunch of hands. I got about 15 seconds for you here, Jessica. I want to go back very quickly to Joe Biden. Do you think this push to replace Joe Biden clearly has stalled? Do you think it's done?
Only Joe's going to be able to answer that, Trace. I think you've got Democratic donors that are very unpleased by the moment. They actually are disappointed that Biden hasn't come out and say, okay, let's have a redo. Let me debate President Trump again. In the interview he had just yesterday, he said, no, I don't want a second debate. So he's clearly uneasy. I think today and the momentum of the week here in Milwaukee is going to put even more pressure on the Democrats, who are very much disjointed, unaligned, and not ready to fight in November.
Jessica Harrison, thank you both for coming on. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Trace.
I know that Democrats are very upset, and they're upset, and I've heard this morning from Democrats sending me back and saying, hey, don't act like Donald Trump has changed just because somebody tried to kill him, but he's still the same person. You can't let that persona hide who he is. Well, so much for the calls to lower the temperature. Let's bring in the author of Come On Man, Fox News contributor Joe Concha, and Maz Lansky and Partners President Lee Carter. Thank you both for coming on. Joe, to you first. The media lowering the temperature about J.D. Vance. They said the following.
He's going to be part of a movement that is filled with hatred and grievance.
He's now a toxic presence in American life. He's not a bridge builder. He's a barn burner. If you're in Ukraine right now, you're terrified. If you're an immigrant, you're terrified. He is a divider and is a dark moment out against the Republican Party. But Donald Trump is pointing the Republican Party in a very scary direction for the long term.
I mean, Joe, hatred, grievance, toxic, nothing but love and well wishes from the media toward J.D. Vance. Trace, this is what we've been hearing the last 9 years about Donald Trump. So this is no surprise whatsoever. They would go down this road with J.D. Vance. The good news is, I guess, if you're sane and sober and you just want objective journalism, is that no one cares what these people say anymore. Their opinions are worthless. And the trust in them is like gas station sushi, the way you would trust that if you were to buy that and actually eat it. So that's where we are at this point. They want to go off on J.D. Vance and ignore the fact that 48 hours ago, the former president of the United States nearly had his head blown off, and only a millimeter of a head turn saved him. And they go on television and sound just like they did right before that. Go ahead. No one cares anymore what you guys have to think. Meantime, if you thought differently about this, Lee, here's ABC News making this point.
The president and the Biden campaign are still planning to make this point that they believe Trump is still a threat to democracy.
I mean, they already are. There's no way to stop the whole threat to democracy, and here it is again today.
Matt, they're not backing down. Even in the interview that Joe Biden did, he's not backing down from that same message. He will not take any responsibility for the rhetoric, and they're squarely putting it on the hands of the Republicans. And I just don't think that it's gonna go well, because number one,
there's a lot of good stuff here.
Based on our actions tonight, that they're going to take a high road. That they're going to be really focused on unity. That they're going to be the ones that really, really look like they learned something through all of this, and things have changed. And I think Americans over the weekend have changed. It's not that we've changed our policies or our beliefs, it's that we've changed the way that we want to engage.
Meantime, Joe Concha, Morning Joe got pulled off the air this morning. The quote you hear from Mark Davis, columnist and radio host, stunning. On this uniquely impactful morning, MSNBC pulls its signature show, Morning Joe,
for fear that some jackwagon panelists would say something grotesquely inappropriate, profoundly pathetic, and probably a wise move on their part. And that's kind of what MSNBC does in the morning show.
Yes, and management obviously was petrified that either Joe Scarborough or Nikki Brzezinski or any of the people they have on there on a regular basis were going to say something, to Mark Davis's point, that would obviously embarrass the network at a very sensitive time when the former president was nearly assassinated. Remember, Joe Scarborough said not too long ago that if Donald Trump is elected, then he will execute generals, execute journalists, execute political opponents. Said it with a straight face. He should have been pulled off the air quite some time ago. When you have rhetoric like that, I get disagreement over policy, and Scarborough, I guess, is a Democrat now, or at least, he's saying what he wants to the audience to hear at MSNBC, but to go that personal and make predictions like that is a whole bowl of wrong, and MSNBC has a real problem with Graham now because they continue to criticize the president this way on such personal terms, hyperbolic terms that aren't based in any reality based on the president's first term in his administration. That's it. Got it, Joe. David Axelrod, watch.
He is a world-class genius at marketing. And the fact that the two things that he had to think about in that moment was, am I breathing and where is the hero shot, is really reflective of who he is. He is a brilliant, brilliant marketer. That photo is everything he wants to communicate in one picture.
That photo and others, Lee, could really propel him for the rest of this campaign because they are becoming iconic.
Absolutely. And I sort of resent the undertones of that because Donald Trump talked about he had to remember two things. One, deal what was going on. But two, he wanted to reassure the people that he was okay and that we were going to be okay and go on. And that's what he was trying to do. Yes, he has perfect theatrics. Yes, that image is absolutely stunning and iconic. But what he was trying to do was lift up the people that are out there to support him in that moment. And I think it's really important that we listen to how Trump described that moment and not how others are trying to put their own spin on what that was.
And it's a great point. It really is. Lee Carter, Joe Concha, thank you both. Coming up, a big win for Donald Trump after a Florida judge dismissed the classified documents case against him. And new questions tonight about how a would-be assassin was able to fire a clear shot at the former president. And later in the nightcap, Trump has finally revealed his choice of a running mate. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, a former never-Trumper, completes the ticket, getting the nod over Doug Burgum, Marco Rubio. So what do you think? Is J.D. Vance a good pick for vice president? And why? Let us know. X and Instagram at Trace Gallagher. We'll read your responses. Coming up in the night.
All these games on the TV and no satellite on the roof. Think about this. Blue Jays, Cardinals, Orioles. What's missing? The Indian Hunter. No walnut grain. Pigeons. They'd rather
That's
maybe
true.
team up the Sox. But here's to getting better days.
Here's the big student there.
Hopefully today, who's time for the team? The nutrition you need without the stuff you don't. So, used to now.
I'm never shopping for car insurance again. Because with the Experian Insurance Marketplace, I don't have to. They do it for me. Yeah, Experian. It's a whole new way to not shop for car insurance. They take your info and shop it with over 40 top providers to find you a great rate. And Experian monitors your rate. If there's something better, you get an alert. They keep checking for you over time, even if you don't get a policy. And I save over $800. And it's free.
Go to Experian.com/car and you'll never need to shop for car insurance again.
Have you ever wondered how to find personal happiness? Hi, I'm Pastor Rick Laurie. Let me tell you a secret about finding happiness. The least happy people are the people that live to be happy. But here's the secret. The Bible says happy are the people whose God is the Lord. You will never find happiness from seeking in. But if you come into a relationship with God through Jesus, you'll find the happiness you've been looking for in life. He's just a prayer away. There's a number on the screen. You can call that number. And I want to send you a free Bible to tell you how to be a happy person and come into a relationship with God so you have purpose in this life and the life life to come. You have the hope of heaven.
That would be enough. Just remember,
Eric Trump, live from Milwaukee, from the assassination attempt to the VP pick. Plus, what we can expect from his father's acceptance speech. Find out on I Can't Miss Fox and Friends.
Dear Allegiance Flag Supply.
Another sunny day by the water. Friends, fun, and Canadian drinks. We all know to keep our roads free of impaired drivers. That means our lakes and waterways too. Impaired loading is impaired driving. Thank you to all responsible loaders who are doing their part. And to those that keep an eye out, just in case. Here's to more sunny days. Enjoy the summer on stable roads and waterways.
Yes, there you are. As governor and under the auspices of the Bailey and Trading Company, please allow me to officially welcome you to Port March.
Wait, well, that's it.
I like to say the pleasure's all mine, but I try not to lie. Don't worry, I'm only here on account of her.
Of course. I see you've been as quick to involve yourself as that.
That very much makes it a local feel.
Because we're able to make meaningful connections with people right here in our community.
It kind of was a joke, but
Apologies for the little grammar effort. These are confusing times, and people often react poorly to uncertainty.
Judge overseeing the former President Trump's classified documents case has ruled that special counsel Jack Smith was unlawfully appointed and not dismissed the 37 felony charges against Mr. Trump. The senior national correspondent Kevin Corp is live in D.C. with more on that story. Kevin, good evening.
Trace, Judge Cannon found that the AG, Eric Garland, simply didn't have the authority to appoint a federal officer to the kind of prosecutorial power wielded by special counsel Jack Smith. So he's out of there. Now, you recall, in the documents case, when the president charges that he willfully retained sensitive national security documents at his estate at Mar-a-Lago down in Florida. After leaving office in 2021, they also accused him of obstructing government efforts to retrieve the material. However, it should be noted that the tug of war between an outgoing president and the National Archives is fairly common here. But in this case, the Trump team was still negotiating for the return of some materials when the archives and the DOJ decided they'd waited long enough. Now, prosecutors claim the documents included material related to U.S. military, intelligence, and nuclear matters. The DOJ says it will appeal Judge Cannon's ruling. That appeal will likely be decided before voters head to the polls.
And that's a big point. Kevin, thank you. We are now learning more and new information tonight about the investigation unfolding in Pennsylvania into the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Matt Finn is live in Butler tonight with more on that. Matt, good evening.
Hi, Trace. We're standing outside of the now infamous historic crime scene here in Pennsylvania. Behind me, in the distance, you might be able to see some of the headlights of law enforcement that are still guarding the scene. And tonight, a senior law enforcement source tells me that a suspicious person was flagged to local police at the rally for acting strangely before the gunman opened fire, which caused police to begin a foot chase for this person. One report says the person was acting nervously and pacing near the metal detectors. This is notable that the suspicious person, presumably Thomas Brooks, was flagged at a separate location away from that rooftop and declined, raising more questions about whether the alleged shooter could have been stopped. A senior federal law enforcement source tells Fox, quote, there were multiple radio transmissions describing a search for a suspicious person after citizens reported this to local police. A local law enforcement leader confronted the individual at the rooftop. Now, here in Pennsylvania, Brooks had no known criminal record in this state. He had a job working at the dietary aid south of Pittsburgh. People there said that he is doing the job appropriately, and he was described as a good student in
high school, he learned that the gun that was used was an AR-style gun that his father had purchased over a decade ago. Chris.
Matt Fedlock for us in Butler, Pennsylvania. Matt, thank you. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney, federal litigator, Vic Rajaj. I mean, Vic, you look at all these reports now that law enforcement spotted this shooter 26, some say 30 minutes before the shots were fired. I mean, nothing happened. This investigation is revealing some amazing things. I mean, what do you make of this?
Not to make light out of it, but sometimes we tell people, hey, you had one job to do. The Secret Service had one job to do. Within that one job is to coordinate local law enforcement, because local law enforcement generally has a responsibility to protect the peripheral areas from the protected party, president, vice president, candidate. In this case, they dropped the ball completely for one particular reason. The line of sight was not blocked by either an apparatus behind the president or something to stop any rooftop access. It was a direct line of sight that did not require the shooter to move around before expending the missile or the firearm, in this case, the gun. And it was a stationary thing. The depressing thing about it is it gives all of us a sense of insecurity and fear. This morning I had an opportunity to speak with a number of high-ranking individuals with the San Diego Sheriff's Department. All of them were absolutely disheveled in a poor state of mind. And as we began talking about this, it became very clear that they believe local law enforcement looks horrible when in fact Secret Service was in charge of herding those kittens, as they say. In the introductory comment there, Trace, you astutely point out there that a law enforcement officer was hanging on that rooftop and actually identified the shooter seconds before the shot rang out. Now, the quote from this morning with my deputies that I spoke with, they said as they put their hand on their badge, when we swear to uphold the safety of the community, we agree to take that bullet, especially for the President of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, the case is just growing. We're getting more and more information. I can't let you go, Vic, before I talk about the documents case being dropped against former President Trump. Jonathan Turley said this about that this morning.
If you were to have one case dismissed, if you had to have a wish list, this would be it. I've said from the beginning, Florida was the greatest threat to Donald Trump. Here, Smith was relying on establish the law. But he will likely appeal this to the 11th Circuit. Some judges are going to disagree, so we don't know whether this will be upheld. But eventually it has to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Would you agree with that? Would you add anything?
I'd agree with that. This decision was really a separation of powers issue. This is the executive branch appointing an individual to enforce the law without any legislative oversight whatsoever, either through the appropriations for the money being used or by an appropriate appointment of this individual. This is a separation of powers decision. We've seen this theme through the Supreme Court throughout this tendency at this point in time, and that appeal, while it may be filed, is not going to be fruitful. Justice Clarence Thomas has already given out sort of a crumb of the way the Supreme Court may go. I do not disagree with the statements by Turley there. He is spot on.
So the president, yes or no, out of legal jeopardy at least until after the election?
I believe yes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Up next, our guest was a witness to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. In fact, he tried to help some of those who were shot at the rally. Let's bring in retired emergency medicine Dr. James Sweetland. Dr. Sweetland, thank you for coming on tonight. I want to know, sir, if you can tell us, what did you see, what did you hear, and what was your first instinct when you heard the shots?
Travis, first of all, thank you for having me on. I've watched your work for many years. I enjoy speaking with you tonight.
Thank you so much.
I was in the bleachers on the left side as you looked at this stage with Donald Trump in the front of it. And I was below Jumbotron. I was with the crowd. It was a bright, sunny day. Everybody was enjoying themselves. It was like a rock concert. When he came out, he spoke. He's very dynamic personality. He spoke for a few minutes, and then he brought on the diagram of the illegal immigration. And he turned and pointed to that, and I was standing underneath the Jumbotron with a friend, and he said, "Look, he's pointing at us. Take a picture." It was, of course, a joke. He then turned back, to the audience and turned around. At that time, 3 shots rang out. They sounded like firecrackers to me initially. There were 3 pops. There was maybe a 3 or 4 second pause, and then it was followed by 4 more pops. I, like everybody in the bleachers, turned and looked to our right over the field, a line of trees to see where the group was coming from. I then turned back to see Secret Service piling on President Trump. It quickly became a human pyramid of about 6 Secret Service agents. About that time, I heard a voice ring out, a woman from the stands just 30 feet away, down to my right, down benches, saying, "He's been shot. Help. He's been shot. He's down. Help him."
This is the firefighter, correct? This is the firefighter Corey comparative.
That's correct. I didn't know that at that time. I didn't know the man, but it wasn't Corey.
And did you know, Doctor? I mean, I'm sorry for interrupting you, sir, but did you think at the time that there was a chance to say, Corey, I know you worked on him, but how bad was he at the time?
When I got to him, I stepped away from him, I took it down. There was a lot of cold blood. Unfortunately, there was a brain matter there. I did a brief examination of him. He had a bullet just above his right ear, and it looked to be fatal. And as a physician, and I was a first responder, and when you're in the field in that sort of position, you do what you need to do. I got bystanders to help me get Corey back up on a bench so I could administer CPR. He was without breath or respirations and had no pulse. And so I administered CPR for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, and when you heard, lastly, sir, when you heard and you looked at Corey, and you knew and you heard the president might be hit, did you think, at first, did you think the worst?
I thought the worst. What was interesting is Corey, I heard a roar from the crowd. I didn't turn around, but I assumed that there was something going on behind me. And it was a joyous roar, so I assumed it was something quite good. I didn't know, so I turned around. 2 police officers came up and took Corey off the bleachers. I was performing CPR at the feet of his wife and our daughter. I'll never forget the look in their face, and I looked up at them. It was that grief, being appalled, and still kind of a look of hope. And I remember just blurting out to them, he's being taken away to get help. I then turned around and President Trump was already off the stage. I then returned. My friend would come down and said, how was Trump? And he said, well, he was shot. I saw some blood on his cheek. And I said, was he able to stand up and walk off? And they said, yeah. So at that point, I assumed the cheers were the fact that he was able to get up. I wasn't aware till later that those cheers were when he gave a fist bump up in the air. That was what the crowd wanted.
Still, an awful experience for you, sir. You did yeoman's work trying, and everybody around you said that you were trying your best to become a hero in that thing. And the firefighter, we of course wish his family and all of his loved ones the best. Dr. Sweetland, thank you for coming on, sir.
You're very welcome.
Well, coming up, the role that young voters will play in the presidential election and why so many of them are turning MAGA. That's next.
Now I have Ilari's people making trouble up in Grocery Street. Physical damage looting everything they can get their hands on, and the boxer kicks up his heels like a prince.
And we will soon be a great nation again as the GOP rallies behind Donald Trump. PX that has you covered every night. Seconds after the last speaker, I'll be here to make sense of it all. Unconventional with PX that.
Cool. I cannot say it would not be welcome, but you are only recently arrived, and not my favorite thought. Why do this?
Why do some things have to be so complicated? You don't know either, Stanley.
And you are a sensible woman.
At least when it comes to dental care.
Fair enough.
Aspen Dental makes getting new
Correct
dentures and
Street
implants
is in the
easier
western
with
part
the
of town.
technology and
Just
expertise
walk into
to
the
give you
hip
the right
quarter.
fit. It's $0 down
They
plus
don't need a
0%
hairband.
interest if paid in
I'm
full
sure
in
there's
18
a
months.
peaceful solution to resolve this.
Making
I'd
things as
appreciate your
simple as
looking
they
for
should
me.
be. It's one more way Aspen Dental is in your corner.
Hi, I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, and I'm here today to tell you about a hidden health crisis currently affecting nearly every American: sleep deprivation. And that's why you need to know about relaxing sleep. You see, getting a good night's sleep helps support a healthy immune system, helps maintain a healthy blood pressure, healthy cardiovascular system.
Relaxium Sleep is studied, tested, and designed by a neurologist to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up refreshed.
Relaxium Sleep worked from the very first night I took it. I had more focus and mental clarity than I've had in years.
Join the hundreds of thousands of people who've experienced the relief and health benefits from getting a great night's sleep and get Relaxium Sleep. After being relaxed,
Okay, let's save it and we'll level up our guys next time, right guys?
sleep, it's making everything else about my life more enjoyable. It'll regulate your natural sleep cycle, relax your body, and calm the mind for better sleep through the whole night. Call today and get
Take it easy.
risk-free bottle.
See you next one, eh?
Relaxing Sleep doesn't have any harmful chemicals like many prescription sleeping pills. With Relaxing Sleep, you can expect to start sleeping better the very first night.